here. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Professor Monica Prince. I teach activist and performance writing here through the Writers Institute. And I am the senior coach for all of our seniors going through the creative writing department. We're very excited that you're here for our first senior reading of the semester. You're going to hear from 4 fantastic readers, Sean McPhee, Kendall Rife, I knew I was going to mess that up, Colton Cook, and Tori Vile. So, we have little housekeeping things. This is being recorded, so just be aware of that. Back there, it'll be lovely and nice, so just be aware. In addition, we want to say thank you to the fabulous art gallery, especially its director, for having us here. We want to say thank you to Professor Zita and the literary arts interns who made those beautiful bookmarks and all the posters and organized this wonderful event. We could not do it without them. And last but not least, we want to thank event management and IT who are helping manage the technical sides of everything, and we're so grateful for their support. Tonight, you will hear from 4 readers who will be introduced by Professor Carlos Halsey and Professor Glenn Tiff, and they'll be here. Please interact with the reading. We encourage you, if it's funny, please laugh. They've been trained to wait for your laughter, so you better laugh. If you hear something that makes you go, ooh, feel free to snap or jiggle your keys. Let's practice. Excellent work. And if something makes you cry, this is a safe space. Feel free to weep openly. All right? Okay, it's going to be wonderful. We're going to have a wonderful night. Your general content warning for the evening is that you will hear some mention of suicide and self-harm, and you will hear a little bit of mention of disability issues. But this is to keep them from having to do their own content warnings. It's going to be wonderful. I'm super excited. Are you super excited? We're going to do it, team. Let's go. All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Professor Glenn Tiff, and I teach creative nonfiction mostly in the creative writing program in the Department of English and Creative Writing. And it is wonderful to be here tonight. It's great to see all of you. Thank you for coming out to support our seniors. And I did want to say the bookmarks are gorgeous. And if you are me and you read 20 books at the same time, pick up 4 bookmarks on your way out because they are great. And it'll be great memories of tonight. And it's a wonderful way to honor and remember our graduating seniors. I will be introducing Sean McPhee tonight. Sean McPhee is a creative writing major and an honors program participant who hails from Maryland. He says the moment at SU of which he's proudest is working in the dining hall because, quote unquote, it built character. That's probably a moment where I'm supposed to wait for your laughter. While his favorite piece of writing is his poem Night 32, which also represents his first publication. He says, and I suspect he's not alone in this, he is far more disciplined about writing than when he arrived at SU. We hope so, right? We hope that you're all more disciplined about writing. Prof. Null comments, in my advanced novel workshop, I was taken by the sheer scope and ambition of Sean's novel in progress set in World War II, which features a character of mixed heritage who is fighting in the brutal Battle of Stalingrad. The narrator is fascinating as he looks back on his life and considers how he wriggled out of death's grasp. Who was he fighting for? What was he fighting for? The weight of history presses down upon him, and it makes for an extremely immersive reading experience. Having taught Sean in both intermediate nonfiction and senior honors thesis, I can also attest that he is a gifted essayist. Sean's prose style is a compelling mix of whip-smart and warmly intimate, while his intellectual curiosity, as I'm observing in the senior honors project, ranging from philosophy to history to zombies, pop culture and otherwise, fuels Sean's endlessly fascinating explorations. Please welcome Sean McPhee.
All right, who's ready to party? So, say that now because this is over. I met Kurt Russell in a mental hospital. I can see him now, arms wide, wingspan. Obviously, he isn't Kurt Russell. He was either 42 or 57. I never found out. He becomes my uncle. I met him in that hospital after a morning of Hallmark movies from a silent TV in another hospital. An afternoon in the back of a truck with no entertainment but the road and tossing around a water bottle. Kurt Russell stood in front of me and said that anything I needed, anytime I needed, everyone on the ward was there for me. Everybody understood. We're in here because we share mental illness. Kurt is almost lost to me now. I know we solved the puzzles, bound by hospital scrubs and the danger we pose to ourselves. Some days he told me he didn't want to live. On those days he reminded himself that Jesus couldn't love him if he killed himself. So he went on. I never quite told him I believed, but when one of us, called Adam, asked our group therapy leader to cut out the Jesus stuff, Kurt attacked him. I nodded when Mr. Russell asked me very seriously, "That wasn't cool, right?" Each day I had a routine. Wake up around 7 after a night of bad sleep and have your vitals taken in case you were dead. Half an hour for breakfast, join the med line for lorazepam your doctor doesn't tell you as a side effect of severe drowsiness. So you shuffle the group where you listen to music, color, or discuss worrying with someone and never receive one-on-one therapy. Shuffle through the rest of the morning until lunch, where on account of celiac disease, you can eat all of 3 things, which you have to pre-order every time, unless, you want to go hungry, like a good Victorian child. Finally, regain your wits in time for 30 minutes in a gymnasium or outside, never both in one day. Snack time, idle away the rest of the afternoon into dinner. Nighttime group, nighttime snack, nighttime meds, lights out at 10. Chase leave until 7 a.m. because the lights are on in the hallway, the door is always open, and your roommate snores. Wake up around 7, ad nauseum. I had friends, of course, comrades and scrubs. Here's one. Gay Tommy. That was not my name for him, someone else gave it, and unfortunately that's all I can remember him as. Sorry, man. He'd been in since January. Gave us jazz hands and telling us that they were going to set him free. He was fat and balding, had a slight lisp, and honestly, he seemed straight enough to me. As he waited to be set free, I watched him spiral into suicidal lament, head in hands, and we all stopped eating lunch to comfort him. He contorted and twisted outside and in. Kurt Russell had left me by then, and now Gay Tommy was going too. The struggle was a comfort. He was getting out. I was stuck in. But at least the hospital didn't ease up on him. What truly defined things, though? Space. Space I wasn't allowed. The little space I was given. Space on my insides that refused to shrink and did anyway. I was always the youngest person, the odd depressed duck, college sophomore with a 3.9 GPA, steady girlfriend, stable home. Even the largest ward, of course, was half a dozen hallways maybe, split by gender. I preferred that one. I never felt alone. The smaller ward was only one hallway. We had a TV and couches with cushions like petrified foam, 2 fold-out tables, you know the ones, and chairs, you also know the ones, you do. There were board games, a deck of Uno cards someone smeared feces on, somehow. Markers and paper. I asked for a pen once, and the nurse held it up to me and asked if I was safe to have it in all sincerity. She told me the pen would cut open my throat if I swallowed it, and I wondered why the fuck you would tell me that. Now, visualize your room. I want you to. Get a good picture. Closet, dresser, desk, windows, maybe some scattered junk food. Cheetos are my favorite. Make it a little bigger because they're adding another bed. Shit on it now. Then take away everything else. I need it. Everything else. Whatever paint you have is now beige. Floors, walls, bed. The stuffing in your pillow is calcified. Your blue-gray blanket is thin. You have cubbies now, like in kindergarten. And that's where everything you'll ever have will go. And believe me, you'll never fill them up. You have a bathroom with a hole in the wall for toilet paper where someone before you wrote, "Fuck this place!" The shower is oblong with limp, cold water that makes you feel like a sea slug, or tiny with hot water and actual water pressure. The best that could be said for either is that you at least have a curtain. Where do you hang your towels? You don't. Toothbrush, toothpaste. You get those once a day, return them after you use them, and if you miss the call for toothpaste and towels, tough. This room and everything in it is all yours. Don't think about it. It might make you think of your dignity. You will never sleep well. The worst night will involve your best roommate and popcorn. He snored, that Charlie, but he couldn't help it. I didn't hold it against him. I think I may have taken a book into the common area to read, to exhaust myself. In the end, you will take to the couches with cushions and petrified foam for supper. Popcorn had been nighttime snack, and you celebrated with everything else. But it came back to sink its claws in, just for you. Facing the inside of the couch, you will think maybe you could sleep there. As you lay down, you put your head into the popcorn. Bits and pieces of it surround your head, eyes, nose, soul. You've been in for 2 weeks, so despite it all, you also know it could be worse. But there's something in the air that night, too. You're miserable, sure, questioning every breath you've ever taken, but you're also calm. And in that moment, you realize you've truly adapted. And in the hours that follow, you will never feel more alone or less human. In the end, I came out stable. They saved me. I get out in June, finish my classes over the summer and ace the ball. Start therapy again, start going to church, finding some semblance of community, although I still don't believe in the God stuff. Lay down with my girlfriend one afternoon, contemplate marrying her, confirm that I want to name my daughter Deirdre as I eat greasy pie, and for the first time, perhaps ever, I let the good times roll. But there are no credits. That's not what I got when I reclaimed stability. I got life. I was so agitated by living in the hospital that I was on benzos just to get through the day. So as it leaves my system, I also have to make up for my sleep deficit. I won't understand the lorazepam for another month, start to gain weight from it. My grandfather dies, my girlfriend leaves me, my workload climbs to the highest it will ever be. The amazing thing is that somehow I remain stable, improve even, get a job, write more, make the first teeny tiny baby steps into getting published. Don't worry, it'll take me a year to actually do that. Have pizza night every Friday, continue to ace my classes. I can say when I meet my therapist that I'm doing well enough. I also confirm something else. I didn't beat depression. Make it out of the hospital? Yeah. Safe around scissors? Yes. Want to live? Absolutely. But I didn't win, not the way I wanted to. I wanted depression gone, but it's in me, deep as poison, and it's not going anywhere. I was only in that hospital because I lost the battle after all. The battle. Nobody is normal, but truly, I'll never be normal again. Truth is, that summer I dreamed of martyrdom, going to the building where they cram all those annoying science nerds and making a leap into Jesus' waiting, heavenly asphalt arms. I want to make everybody see their little disrespects, how they misunderstand, how they failed me in my heart of hearts. I haven't won. Truth is, I don't deserve anything. I'm still a pervert, still as cruel and vain as the rest of them. I have all the same thoughts as the worst frat guy. My medications and insurance run my family for thousands. This creative writing degree will go straight to flipping burgers, asking someone, maybe out of desperation, why they want fries with that. The only thing I'm good for is words on pages that nobody will ever read, so why the fuck am I even writing this? Truth also is, that's bullshit. My life is wonderful. My family loves me as I am, and I love them the same. I've gotten myself published 4 times and contributed to a poetry collection, and that's the last time I'll toot my horn. I'll graduate with honors. I have an upcoming internship teaching Ecuadorian children English. I have everything to live for, most of all myself. You're happy. I'm happy. I think.
I'm Carla Kelsey. I'm so happy to be here with our readers and with all of you tonight. Kendall Wright, who has come to Susquehanna from Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, has minored in religious studies and publishing and editing while completing her creative writing degree. It's in the context of publishing and editing that I know Kendall best. She was an outstanding member of Patchwork Press, formed by the class that I led last spring. As a member of Patchwork, Kendall brought enthusiasm, devotion to well-crafted language, and a spirit of collaboration to the table, helping her peers and the press to be the best versions of themselves. Thank you, Kendall, for that. As an author, Kendall is no stranger to the publishing process. Her poem Roses was a finalist for the Wingless Dreamer Publishers' Unfolding Colors competition and was published in their anthology alongside her fiction piece, The Bride. Catherine Dent, fiction writer and director of the Writers Institute, says of Kendall Wright has a keen sense of the macabre and a wonderful depth of literature and historical knowledge that comes to life in the pages of her short fiction. Kendall's grown so much in craft and skill over the past 4 years. Whether the characters are in Russia, Victorian England, or medieval Germany, Kendall's detail and spirit transports the reader to a reality that is decidedly magical, mysterious, and unsettling. Catherine Dent says, I can't wait to see her novels on the bookshelf of the Writers Institute, and I can't either, Kendall.
Thank you for that very kind introduction. So I'll be reading 3 poems and an excerpt from my short story. And so the first poem is actually one of the ones that got published last year, and it is called A Watcher's Defiance, and it begins with an epigraph. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them. 1 Enoch chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. And here is A Watcher's Defiance. I believed none could surpass the perfection of him, until my eyes fell from heavens to earth unto her, and all existence halted before me. None in his universe compares to the beauty of her. I have reached enlightenment as witness to her divinity, forbidden by a word on tongue as desire takes hold of one's pious heart. Yearning for a glimpse, caress, chance to worship her existence. Let my wings turn to ash, damn me to lifetimes of torment. I will forever forsake him for a taste of her lips. And next is a more recent poem entitled Kinship with the Fallen Angel by Alexander Kavanagh. I near fall to my knees as I meet his gaze. His eyes are the most captivating part about him, oils perfectly capturing the mournful rage shared by fallen sons and rejected daughters. I always wondered how much it hurt for Lucifer as he crashed to earth, struck down by his brothers. His wings turning ashen, I screamed for us both as he lay in abandoned agony. Those on high mock us, joyful at the fall of the prideful son, the favorite, expulsion of unloved daughter, derided, ignored. I sit with him, curled in mimic of his pose. I yearn to embrace him, wipe the tears from those haunting eyes, run soothing fingers through his locks, kiss his wings, give him affections he deserves, though he is only a figure on a canvas that I cannot touch, only fixate upon in deep, heartbroken affinity. And thank you. The last poem I'm going to be reading for you is from my intermediate poetry class, called Persephonian Ode. Wildflowers blossom at your feet, a technicolor revolution in the land of death, gracing darkness with rays of life bursting from your diamond crown. I wish to twirl in the flowers with you, to find peace among the squills and saffron, make love upon bones and begonias. Oh, to have a love like yours, to be desired so ardently, whisked up in strong arms, promised love for all eternity, throne only a bonus compared to the sweet passions of a king. Perhaps if I stay in a blossoming field, enraptured in youth, a Hades all my own will arrive upon his chariot, lay me in the dirt, take me away, a fate as divine as yours. And lastly, I'll be reading, thank you. I'll be reading an excerpt from my short story, The First Woman. The first thing she felt was cold. Wind cut through the cloths that wrapped her body. She seized with discomfort against the leather bindings. The metal slab stung her back. Icy rain soaked through the white tarp covering her. Electricity pulsed through her veins. Thunder roared in her ears. She opened her mouth to scream. No sound escaped from behind her teeth. The loud clanging of rusted gears and chains made her wince. Her body bounced as the slab reached the ground, harshly. Then came the frantic babble. She didn't understand it, what those sounds were. Something sharp brushed her nose. She inhaled quickly. Her eyes were then assaulted by light. The first sound to finally escape her was a hiss. It shot through her throat and slithered past her teeth. She lifted bandaged arms to block out the bright instinctually. She's alive! She's alive! Look, my friend, your bride is finally with us. She peered out behind her fingers. A thing, she wasn't sure what to call it, was standing before her, waving its arms wildly in her direction. Pale skin, wide eyes, hair plastered to face, wet forehead. She tilted her head at it. A groan reverberated off the walls of stone. She turned to the source. It was different than the other. Gargantuan stature, its skin a sickly mix of green and gray, thick black lines drawn just below messy hair and around wrists, 2 shiny bolts implanted in neck. Its eyes were dark. Something simmered in them, something that unsettled she. Friend? Its voice was pitched up, barely escaping its throat. Yes, my creature, she is your friend, your bride. Now you can leave your creator in peace, the creator shouted, grabbing she by the arm. He used the sharp to slice the bandages from them. His touch was wet, cold, uncomfortable. She tried to pull from him. Then the creature reached for her. The creator began dragging she close to it. She screamed. The sound echoed off the walls. Both winced. She pulled out of the creator's weakened grasp, stumbling into a far corner, curling into herself. The creature lumbered towards her, reaching out again. She swatted at it. Her nails slashed its skin. Red liquid oozed from the marks. It roared. It lifted its arms, ready to strike. She screamed again. The creator ran up to the creature, grasping it, flailing about, attempting to stop the attack. She saw an opening. She darted past the squabble. In her way was a wood panel. It had an oddly shaped metal piece attached. She grasped it with shaking hands. The floor beneath her feet quaked. They approached. She tugged the metal thing and pulled the panel completely off the wall. She threw it behind her and stumbled out, falling only for a moment. She caught herself. Instinct. She ran. Instinct. Her body pulsed electricity. The sensations of before assaulting her unprotected body. Roaring, flashing, pelting, soaking, static. Now something clung to her feet. Wet, sticky. Things brushed against her legs. Some prickly, some soft. She tripped over hard raised lines in the ground, but still, she's legs did not stop until they gave way, when all their spark dissipated. She fell into wet, a stream carved through the middle of the forest. She gasped sharply, clawing her way out of the freezing. She turned to stare down at its ripples as they bounced with the falling rain. In the flashes of lightning, she saw. Her hair reached all the way down her back, vermilion, a murky gray. She lifted her hands to her eyes. The same lines segmented her hand, segregating thumb from forefinger, wrist from palm. But the fourth finger, right hand, it was wrapped by those same lines at its base. No other finger had those stitches. She tilted her head, then turned to side, then vomited on the forest floor. Sticky liquid flowed down her cheeks, throat invaded by horrid taste. She stood up, shakily. She ran again, as far as her legs would take her, her breathing labored, vision clouded. Once the electricity in her veins sparked out again, she collapsed. Her face whipped with a skinny branch covered with soaked, silky leaves. Jagged wood sliced down her back. Her eyes fluttered. Inhale sharp, heart racing. Yet, a haze settled over her mind. The world turned to black. This was the first day. Thank you.
Creative writing major Colton Cook joins us from Newport, Pennsylvania. Sharing this geographical background with, among others, I learned while writing this introduction, John Hedrick, inventor of the automobile airbag. Interesting, right? A little trivia about that. During his time here, Colton says he was exposed to lots of new techniques and influences, and he is particularly proud of Life in Seg, a writing piece, quote, a writing piece mixed with art I created about my life. I taught Colton an introduction to nonfiction, where I was impressed with his humor, intelligence, lively voice, and really rich imagination. Prof. Null writes, quote, when I think of Colton's fiction, the first thing that comes to mind is his sophisticated, impeccable world building, in which the settings come to the foreground and shape the plot in such an engaging fashion. His characters populate the living terrain, and they are always memorable as they navigate magic and danger. I look forward to seeing his novel on the shelf. Colton is also an astute reader and impressed me with all his careful critiques of all genres, as well as the work of his peers. Please welcome Colton.
If you guys are looking for a deep world building, you've come to the wrong place tonight. My story is called Lessons of Growth. I'll be honest, I wasn't the smartest kid. Heck, I know I'm nowhere near being the smartest now either. But I like to think that I had a bit more common sense than I did back then. Up until high school, I was extremely impulsive. All the time, if I thought about doing something, I would just do it. Of course, doing whatever my brain told me to do would often have consequences. Don't get me wrong, I never did anything illegal. Wasn't stupid. Well, not entirely. But sometimes I'd have thoughts like, what would happen if I did this? And they would seem innocent or safe enough that I would just go for it. And if these impulses weren't problematic, my occasional lack of common sense usually caused more problems. With this in mind, there are a bunch of times I did something I definitely shouldn't have. The severity of my antics ranged from a good laugh with people around me to a potential hospital visits. I suppose you could also call me lucky. Let me share some of my experiences with you, along with what I've learned with each one. Most of these stories are from a long time ago, so I've needed help filling in the gaps. Now, let's see if I learned anything over the years. Number 1, don't try to fight poles. The first story goes back pretty far, back to when I was about 3 years old. My family, my grandparents, and another family that was a friend of ours were eating at a restaurant. Who was your family? Heck if I knew at the time. And I don't remember what I ate either. It's what happened after we were done eating that was memorable. We all stepped outside the building and the parents started talking for a bit. Then left me and my older brother staying there with them, not listening at all and just waiting to go home. I was anchored by my dad's side, holding his hand as they talked. Then I saw it. You know those tall, brightly painted poles that line the fronts of buildings so cars can't drive through the front door? Well, I didn't know what they were, not back then. Little me never had been around one for more than a passing glance walking through a store. But the free time I had, I decided to take a closer look. Now, for the life of me, I can't think of why I did this, just that I did. Still holding my dad's hand, I walked up to the pole, put my ear on it, and knocked. I could have sworn I heard an echo from the inside. Is it hollow? I thought to myself. Maybe I can break it. I wasn't a destructive kid, not even in the slightest. but in this one moment, I wanted to be. The adults kept talking, but my dad had noticed me at this point. He watched as I backed up a few paces from the pole, lowered my head, and tried to ram it. Needless to say, the pole didn't budge. I stumbled back, holding a hand on my head as my dad erupted in surprise and laughter. "Bud, what the heck are you doing?" my dad exclaimed between laughs. I just looked up at him. "Why are you laughing?" I asked. "I thought you could break it. What's so funny about that?" Fast forward about 19 years, and I often get reminders from my dad about this story. It's all good fun, though. I may make mistakes, but at least I learn from them. I may also be 0-1 against poles, but at least I'm smart enough not to try again. Number 2, not orange does not equal not hot. The next time I had a noticeable incident would be about a year later, when I was 4. I was interested in making food, unrelated to my last name, so I liked to help my mom cook in the kitchen. A lot of the times I remember were cakes for people's birthdays and other simple things. On this particular day, I was helping Mom make pancakes on the stove. After we had our pancake mix ready to go, she turned on the stove top, put a pan on it, and waited for it to heat up. I was waiting too, but I noticed the coils under the pan. They had started glowing orange, and I could feel the heat from where I was standing. My little brain, firing neurons as fast as it could, quickly came to the assumption, orange equals hot. Looking back on it, that was technically correct, and I'm glad I at least came to that conclusion. But little Colton wasn't done. I understood the stove was orange and hot right now, so I should be careful to not touch it. But could it be hot when it wasn't orange? A few minutes later, when we were done making the pancakes, the time came. My mom turned off the stove, removed the pan, and turned away to handle the food. I stayed at the stove, watching the coils. After a couple of seconds, the orange had faded away, and the coils returned to normal. Wanting to test the heat, I put on an orange oven mitt and slapped my hand on the stove. I didn't feel anything at first, so I just kept my hand there. Then I felt something. For some reason, my gloved hand felt hot, and it kept getting hotter. "Yes!" I yelled, throwing my hand up in the air. The mitt flew off my hand and landed on the floor behind me. Mom came over panicked, and my dad rushed out from the living room after hearing the commotion. Despite the riskiness of my endeavor, I wasn't hurt at all by my little test, and that was only because I had thought to use the mitt. The worst I had to deal with was being banned from the stove for a while. Despite coming out unscathed myself, the oven mitt I had used took quite a beating. It had been singed pretty badly, and there were several holes in the shape of oven coals where the fingers go. My mom still uses the mitt to this day. Using the other side, of course. Number 3, avoid water fountains. This is a pretty simple one, but it merits a tale nonetheless. I was in 6th grade, so about 12 years old, when this story happened. Like most students of this age, I was trying to get used to the new school system, learn new things in classes, and let's be honest, I was mostly waiting to go home to play Xbox. On this fateful day, I had finished my lunch and left the cafeteria a little early. All I had to do was go to my next class, which is the simplest thing he could have asked of me. And yeah, I messed it up. I wasn't alone when I was walking back. 2 friends were walking down the hallway with me, and we were all talking. I was walking around the left wall of the hallway, looking directly to my right, chatting with one of them. I'm talking a full 90-degree turns. I couldn't see anything in front of me. After a few seconds of looking that way, I suddenly ran into something hard, in the direction I should have been looking. I stumbled backward on my butt and turned to see what I hit. It was one of those old water fountains that are set up around some corners of the hallways, this one by bathroom. By the time I had registered being on the ground, the fountain fell off the wall with a loud bang, landing face first on the carpeted hallway, water immediately spewing out of it. I just sat there with my butt, my mind racing. Did I really do that? Am I going to get in trouble? But really didn't help with my worry was the fact that all this happened about 10 feet in front of the vice principal's office. Eventually, my math teacher found me there and sent me off to class, telling me that it was okay since I didn't run off. It would have looked deliberate if I had. I never got in trouble for knocking the fountain down. My brother, being only a year older than me, found out about the incident only a few minutes after it happened. He was in class just down the hall, so word spread to him pretty fast. I should consider myself lucky that I was indecisive when the fountain fell. If I hadn't been so scared, I'm not sure whether I would have tried to fix it or run away. Either of which would have made my situation worse. I'm not sure I would have picked this point, but I'm glad it worked out in the end. For the record, when I looked at the wreckage of the water fountain after it fell, it was only being held up by 2 little hooks. Terrible design, if you ask me. So our collective list for tonight is don't try to fight poles, not orange, does not equal not hot, and avoid fountains. I'm sorry to say that I had to trim this piece for the sake of time tonight, and to do that I had to remove 2 full stories. I'll just mention them here quick. When I was 6, I played baseball. There was a game where I refused to stand on second base because there was a little spider on the ground. The lesson from that one was spider equals small, me equals big. The other one is, in 6th grade, my family went to Disney World. We got lightsabers, and I got a little too excited and shattered my brother's lightsaber blade while playing. The lesson? Don't be violent with anything expensive. So, yeah, I said I wasn't the smartest kid, but I meant what I said before. I never did any of these things twice. If I found out something didn't work in a certain way, I tended to trust that first experience. You all get this, right? Everyone was young once and had to learn how the world works. I like to believe that I was and am always growing as a person, and that these kind of things help accelerate that process. Even now, I'm still growing and making mistakes. Here's a recent example. After commuting to college daily for 4 years, I missed the exit going home. Yeah? You know I'm not going to zone out anywhere near my exit now. Now, considering everything I said tonight, I want to make a bold statement. There are 2 types of people. 1, people who make or have made especially stupid decisions, and 2, people who are lying about it. It's just a matter of whether you learn something from that. Oh, by the way, if you ever see me try to hit another pole, please stop me. Thank you.
Tori Vile is a creative writing major with an Asian Studies and Film Studies minor. She's from Gilbertsville, Pennsylvania. That Tori has excelled at applying herself not only to creative writing but to these 2 distinct minors doesn't surprise me in the least. As Tori's academic advisor, I know her to be curious and fearless. Tori's advice to other writers is to be, quote, unapologetically who you are and do what you do best, whether that be hyper-specific genres and niches like heat, death, apocalypse, or ghosts literally haunting the narrative over and over again. She also advises to do what makes you happy. This is not only wise, but also offers insight into Tori's success. As Professor Hasantika Sarasena has told me, they first met Tori in their introductory creative nonfiction class, where Tori created one of the most moving works of graphic nonfiction, a comic that explored what it means to be misjudged and underestimated because of a disability. In advanced fiction, Tori deftly navigated horror and fantasy tropes in a final piece that stays with Professor Sarasena to this day. Professor Sarasena adds, since I've known her, I've been impressed by her commitment to bettering the community here at Susquehanna and her resiliency. I am looking forward to following Tori's journey and have no doubt that she will excel at anything she puts her mind to. Same here. Welcome up to the podium, Tori.
While I cry over that introduction. Hi guys. Oh dear. Okay, hold on. So we go. It's coming for me. Okay. Hi, my name is Tori Vile.
I'm usually a fiction writer who doesn't talk about ghosts, but tonight I have brought none of that. This is a performance poem called 2 Inches that I've changed a bit just for this and wrote in a very similar situation. From the second that I began this poem, I knew I would have to read it with my tablet 2 inches from my face. Even now, as I stand here, I am completely unable to fully read the screen. I will struggle to read this, I will struggle to break away, and it's frustrating. Anyone who has read the text can tell you that it's a long-winded paragraph with no periods and bad grammar, because I'm not supposed to be saying it slow, I'm supposed to be saying it breathless and fast. If I'm lucky enough, it's going to be slow anyway. There's a disconnect between what's on the screen and what I'm fully viewing because of how close I have to get. I can't just look down and see an entire page, which makes things like this such a joy. I love having totally, completely functional eyes, you guys. Oh, who am I kidding? It's bad. My eyes are bad. They say, whoa, scoliosis be upon me. Dance, puppet boy, dance! And then I bend my back down and spend all day in the shrink position because they don't work. I'm legally blind, and I know it's not anyone's fault. It's certainly not mine. My eyes don't have a conscience. I'm just projecting my anger. But god damn it, do I really want to march up to God, kick him in the shins, shake my fist at him, and ask, what the hell is wrong with you? I go to the store and I struggle to use my credit card because the text on the chip reader is small. The supermarket lady stares at me like I'm a freak and doesn't understand why I gotta get that close. I go to do schoolwork and the print on the book is too small, so I spend the next hours taking pictures of every single page so I can read it. Or I go to the food court to eat, but the menu is on the wall and several feet away from me, which is seeable to other people, but for me that shit is completely incomprehensible. I go outside and I get completely flashbanged by the sun. That bitch was my melanin sass dead. And don't even get me started on the way I feel when all of this inconveniences other people. There's this deep shame that I feel that I know I shouldn't have when I've got to ask someone to read the menu for me, or when I have to remind people that I can't do this, that, and the other thing. No, I can't play dodgeball. It will hit me in the face. It's embarrassing, just little inconveniences, all the time, every time. So I'm sorry you've got to stare at me bent down like this. I'm sorry if it bothers you, if this outburst is 1 in a million that you've seen from me or someone like me, if you're tired of hearing it. But if it's frustrating for you, then imagine how it is for me. This poem, this performance is temporary for you. But for me, this is every day. So, with that out of the way, in 2021, my aunt passed away. In 2022, I got obsessed with a horror movie called Nope. These two things are related, I promise. My next piece is called Bad Miracles. My partner's car hits a bump in the road, and the movement bats me away from the window that I've been pressing my face up against. Dread turns in my stomach as I reach for my phone to call my mom. I have to call her. She's not like this. She's not like this about updates. She doesn't have ADHD. She hasn't called me in hours. It's not like she doesn't just forget. She doesn't just forget to text things. Miles away, my aunt was scheduled for a heart catheterization. I was at Dorney Park with my partner for the day. At 11 a.m., my mom called and said there'd been complications. A storm cloud was born in my brain. By the time I sat down for dinner, it had turned gray with doubt and malice. It took my thoughts and sucked them up and spat back out the bloody remains across the inside of my skull. I heard nothing from her. As I ate my salad, I nervously said, I really hope something hasn't happened and my mom just hasn't called because she's trying to spare me or something. I remember that moment all too well, the moment when Apollo gifted me with the curse of prophecy. At the time, nothing much came of it. We played a few games as the sun began to set and waited on my partner's dad. We stumbled upon a game where you had to yuck a ball low inside to a basket, which as most carnival games tend to be, was harder than it looked. I am notoriously bad at games that require throwing, since I'm blind. It was nothing short of a miracle that the ball slammed into its target. I shrieked and jumped like a chimpanzee gone mad. My prize was a stuffed goat about half my size. How lucky. The car, holding the phone to my ear and listening to it ring, the cloud in my brain thunders. Mom? My breath hitches and she gulps on the other side of the line. Hey, is everything okay with Aunt Nancy? Silence, and then crying. Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry. Aunt Nancy is passed. My face troubles. The cloud crackles. Rain pours from my eyes and blurs everything. Even memory has been flushed away in an attempt to shelter me from the storm still rumbling there. All that's left behind is the crying and the feeling of my partner's hand on my own. This was something straight out of a horror movie. It couldn't be real. It just couldn't. A year and a month after my aunt died, I was with my partner again. This time we were at the movies to see Nope, a sci-fi horror movie. Nope is a film about a lot of things, exploitation, spectacle, racism. But to me, it's a movie about bad miracles. Moments where stars align to make stupendous tragedy. The protagonist's father dies by looking up into the sky and having a coin plunged straight through his eye and into his brain. A praying mantis lands on a camera lens just in time to prevent it from catching footage of a UFO, and a bloody shoe stands straight upright on the scene of a massacre. What are the chances? Are you starting to get the point? According to the National Library of Medicine, the risk of major complications during diagnostic cardiac catheterization procedure is usually less than 1%, and the risk of mortality is of 0.05% for diagnostic procedures. Or at least, generally, that's the percentage. My aunt had a mitral valve defect. She was scheduled to have surgery done to fix it in September, this happened in July, and the cardiac catheterization was a pre-operative test. She was 62, but healthy for her age, so I'm not sure if that changed any of her chances. Google sure as hell wasn't helping finding out. But she wasn't worried about it in the slightest, and neither was my mother, a nurse all too familiar with medical procedures. A quick search will tell you as much. It's one of the most widely performed cardiac procedures, and in the US, more than 1 million cardiac procedures are performed annually. The doctors punctured one of my aunt's arteries with a catheter during the procedure. Don't ask me which one. I don't know if she was on blood thinners. I couldn't even tell you what the actual procedure entails because when I went to go take a peek at what happens, I got sick. The text on the screen blurred into a block of blurry things I could barely call words. The damn cloud was back. My stomach shot me in the foot and made me look away from the screen, and I gave up. More and more variables that could shift the scale of how likely it was that she'd actually die. No numbers crunched in hindsight would soften the blow. It burned to see every website and their mothers call it a mostly safe or very safe procedure with risk of minor complications and some larger risks that are more rare, like heart attack and stroke, not death. Dr. Google usually tells you all of the worst possible things that could go down. Why hadn't it done that now? I asked my mother how she felt about it leading up to it. Even in hindsight, she admits I had no worries at all. It's standard procedure. My mom was called at around 10 a.m. by my aunt's daughter. You better come down here, there's been complications. The drive to the hospital is a bleeding mass of ringing, raging phone calls from different people, friends and family. Why haven't they taken her to the OR? She asked time and time again. The doctors had taken her to intensive care, but should have taken her to the operating room to close the artery. That was their mistake. But for my mother, suburbia bled into cityscape and skyscraper upon skyscrapers in circles, the cars in cramped streets, throat closing, hyperventilating, in and out. Hurry, hurry, I have to get to her. When my mom finally reached the parking lot, when she finally navigated those labyrinths of cars and flying signs and crosswalks, another aunt of mine called out. She was given the exact same news that she'd have to hand me hours later. It was too late. My aunt was already gone. My mom bent her head down and screamed. She doesn't remember how she got home that night. The sight of some streets still sends her into a panic attack. Hurry, hurry, I have to get there. I have to get to her. Thank you.
Sort of concluded. We encourage you to look around the fabulous senior art show, because these are students that go here right now. That's their work on the walls. Before you leave us this evening. Final reminders, the very next senior reading is coming up. It is April 1st, which is also a Tuesday, and it'll be right here. And you get to see 4 more of our fabulous seniors who are going to read for you. In addition, we have our last CD reading series speaker, poet, writer, is Terrence Hayes, who's coming on April 9th, and we will have that in Isaac's Auditorium at 7 p.m. So feel free to come. It's going to be amazing. And is at and our Making Public, which is our massive event in which we give awards and we do the distribution of all of our on-campus journals and literary magazines. That is April 15th, right? You're all nodding, thank you. April 15th, and which will also be in Isaac's? Nope. Susquehanna. It'll be in Susquehanna, which is in CCNA. It's all gonna be fabulous. We have a wonderful alumni, Jason Ferris, who's gonna come back and give a wonderful speech about being dope and having a creative writing degree. So join us for all these wonderful events that are happening over the next several weeks. And in the meantime, check out the fabulous art and congratulate our readers. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.